it's me, Sam B. The White House is a very competitive place to work, as in staffers compete to be the literal worst humans ever. And there is some tough competition. And so I present to you the President's Evil Henchmen Part 2. Trump famously gives most of his interviews to Fox News. It's the closest thing he's ever had to a monogamous relationship. But his marriage to Fox must be growing stale, because last week he cheated on them with ABC's chief news sprite, George Stephanopoulos.
If Russia, if China, if someone else offers you information on an opponent, should they accept it or should they call the FBI?
I think maybe you do both. I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening. If somebody called from a country, Norway, we have information on your opponent. Oh, I think I'd want to hear it.
No! You don't take info from foreign governments, especially Norway. Everyone knows they just want to conquer America and turn us all into lutefisk. While Trump is openly saying that he thinks it's fine for foreign powers to meddle with our elections, the Senate is making sure there's nothing standing in the way of a good meddle.
Since the 2016 election, members of Congress have introduced several bills aimed at securing elections and preventing more future interference. But all of these bills have met a huge roadblock in the form of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He is refusing to bring any election security bill up for a vote.
Of course, Mitch McConnell is blocking election security bills. Just like he spent years stalling health aid for 9/11 first responders, McConnell is so good at blocking things, he's like the kidney stone of the Senate. Mitch McConnell's awfulness gets only a fraction of the attention Trump's awfulness gets, so instead of focusing on the president tonight, we thought we'd do something no one in the history of the world has ever wanted to do. Get to know this guy, the dry rot of democracy. If our institutions seem like they're on the verge of crumbling, Mitch is the guy who gnawed away at the foundations. Rarely has a man so powerful been as dull as Mitch, who's been described as a warmed-over vanilla milkshake. But old Master Shake here didn't get into politics because he had big ideas or a passion for public service. For most of his career, he's just been focused on being a winner. Maybe he's trying to compensate for a loss he experienced earlier in life, like the time his chin went out for a pack of cigarettes and never came back. But whatever motivated him, Mitch has spent most of his career finding loopholes and bending the rules to achieve victory, regardless of the damage it causes. When he first entered local politics as a moderate Republican and novice thumbs-upper, Mitch was actually a strong supporter of abortion rights, unions, and the civil rights movement. But after just barely getting elected to the Senate in 1984, he was worried about losing in 1990, so he pandered to the right wing, which was more effective than his previous strategy, pandering to the urban vote. McConnell made his mark by becoming a master of Senate procedure. That's how he got the idea to use the filibuster as a wonderful tool to gum up the works, which unfortunately is also how he describes his penis. Mitch realized the filibuster could be used on just about any Senate business, which kind of makes him a genius, like the first person to think of using mold to kill infections, or the first person to think of using the bathtub faucet to masturbate. McConnell has used the filibuster to stop everything from the DREAM Act to funding for teachers and firefighters. He also used his favorite toy to break the judicial branch. When his arch-enemy president, not white guy, dared to try to put judges on the bench, Mitch used the filibuster to block the nominations, which was not normal. Before Obama, all the presidents combined had 68 of their nominees filibustered. Under McConnell's leadership from 2009 through 2013, Republicans filibustered 79 Obama nominees. And thanks largely to McConnell, at least 89 judgeships that were President Obama's constitutional right and duty to fill have instead been filled by President Trump. We'll be feeling the consequences of that for decades. In 2050, when my granddaughter gets jailed by Judge Kid Rock for brewing bathtub Plan B, she will have McConnell to thank. Of course, McConnell's masterpiece of obstructionism came when President Obama nominated Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court. McConnell cited a made-up tradition that we don't fill Supreme Court vacancies during an election year, but he's not even bothering to pretend that that's a thing anymore.
Supreme Court justice next year.
How we doing?
That is so disgusting. Not because he would break his own rules. I just never want to hear Mitch McConnell say he'd fill it. Mitch is openly bragging about how he stole a Supreme Court seat, and he's acting as smug and casual as that other cold-blooded tea-sipping amphibian. Long before he was blocking efforts to secure the 2020 election, he was blocking efforts to secure the 2016 election. After learning that Russia was interfering, President Obama wanted a bipartisan letter condemning the Russians to be signed by congressional leaders, but he insisted it would only work if it were a united front of bipartisanship, which is an idea so innocent and adorable, I want to make it into a Precious Moments figurine and sell it on QVC. But McConnell claimed to doubt the intel and only agreed to a letter that used softer language and didn't mention the Russians. He made us go soft on Russia because his side was benefiting. I'd ask how he can show his face after betraying America like that. But honestly, I've also wondered how he showed his face before he did that. Sorry, ladies, he's married. Mitch McConnell's approval rating in his own state is 36%. He's literally the least popular senator in the country. And yes, I am including Ted Cruz. And yet, he has huge power over all of us. There are lots of good reasons to take back the Senate in 2020, but one of the most satisfying is that Mitch McConnell wouldn't be Senate Majority Leader anymore. And hey, maybe Leader Pelosi could lock him in a room with Merrick Garland for 15 minutes. Whatever happens, happens. This week, we learned that Trump attorney, fixer, and future mysterious death Michael Cohen didn't just pay off porn stars on Trump's behalf. He also had another famous client.
The judge forced Michael Cohen to admit in court that he has a third client, and the third client is Sean Hannity. Go home, 2018. You're drunk.
Oh, that's Tapper's version of good night and good luck. This explains Hannity's strenuous defense of attorney-client privilege on his show recently. He's been going to bat every night for Trump's attorney, though he never mentioned that he was also his attorney.
The fake news was totally obsessed with all Michael Cohen. The media completely unhinged over the Michael Cohen raid. His office, his home, and his hotel that he was staying in raided by the FBI today in an early morning raid. Now, what that means is Mueller's witch hunt investigation is now a runaway train.
Witch Hunt Runaway Train is also my favorite straight-to-DVD Jeremy Renner movie. Oh, he hunts a witch who killed his father, who's a train. But why the fuck did Sean Hannity, the guy who made $36 million last year, retain a graduate of the actual worst law school in the country? A guy whose whole business model seems to be built around blackmailing mistresses. Hannity claims there's an innocent explanation.
I did have occasional brief conversations with Michael Cohen. He's a great attorney about legal questions I had, or I was looking for input and perspective. My discussions with Michael Cohen never rose to any level that I needed to tell anyone that I was asking him questions. My questions exclusively almost focused on real estate.
Real estate is a weird name for a porn star. Actually, no one would fuck you. You must have done something so much worse.
Michael Cohen was his longtime attorney and effectively probably knows where all the bodies are buried.
Whoa. Is Sean Hannity a serial killer? Now, I know what you're thinking. You can't just throw together a bunch of scary buzzwords and out-of-context clips to support an outrageous conclusion, and normally I would agree with you, but you know who does that all the time? Sean Hannity.
You've got Pardongate, then you've got the Bosnian sniper lie, then you got Benghazi, kickbacks to the Clinton Foundation, the corrupt Uranium One deal, Fast and Furious, Hillary Clinton's private email server, Bo Bergdahl, the Iranian prisoner swap, the VA scandal, Loretta Lynch, Bill Clinton on the tarmac, unaccompanied minors entering the U.S., Hurricane Sandy funds, Hillary Clinton. Clearly, she is guilty.
His whole show is just an hour-long list of lies and conspiracy theories, but people think it's news because he doesn't sweat as much as Alex Jones and because he's on a channel that calls itself news. So, yeah, the deceitful editing to reach an outrageous conclusion, we're gonna keep doing that. Anyway, according According to my extensive forensic research via the CBS News show Criminal Minds, these are some of the common traits of a serial killer. One of the most common is bedwetting beyond a normal age, and while we don't have definitive proof of his own nocturnal leakage, Hannity sure seems traumatized by someone's bathroom issues.
Remember, that's the dossier that talked about Trump at a Ritz-Carlton in Moscow with 2 prostitutes urinating on his bed. Hookers urinating in his bed. Hookers urinating on his bed. When you gotta go, well, you gotta go.
You know what? I've seen this after-school special. Hannity has a friend who doesn't wet the bed. We got it, buddy. Also, for a guy who is so vexed that the fake news media is talking about Trump's P-tape, you sure are on TV talking about that P-tape a lot.
I have to go to the bathroom.
I know you do, champ. Go before you have an accident. Nothing ruins a Fox News staff meeting like your star opinion shouter showing up in a urine-soaked bedsheet. Another classic serial killer indicator, low self-esteem. I mean, Hannity ends literally every night of his life trying to win the approval of Donald J. Trump, so check. Next, intellect. In movies, serial killers are often portrayed as geniuses, but in real life, they generally do not possess unique or exceptional intellectual skills. No exceptional intellectual skills? That's my Sean!
Michael Cohen, he's a great attorney.
Yeah, he's dumb! Let's see if Hannity demonstrates cruelty to animals.
Lisa, does PETA really stand for people eating tasty animals?
It should be against the law, Sean, I think, to kill animals for food.
What about hit the mommy with the knife killing the little rabbit? And they should face life in prison for killing a turkey. I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but that's funny. Would it be the moral equivalent if somebody was hitting a baby with the stick to hit a rat with the stick?
Okay, oh shit, okay. The rest of these things have been metaphors for other things, but you might actually want to literally keep your pets away from Sean Hannity, like for real. Okay, back to the list. Bad with women? Well, there's no way Mr. Potato Neck could have a history of that. I mean, if Fox News wasn't great with women, then why are they always paying them out large sums of money? Certainly, Sean Hannity respects women. He's not, say, fixated on women who thwarted him in childhood.
I grew up in a house with 3 older sisters and 1 bathroom. So I had 3 older sisters and 1 bathroom. It was not good. I had 3 older sisters, 1 bathroom. I had 3 sisters and 1 bathroom. I had 3 older sisters, 1 bathroom. 1.
Yeah, I went through the same thing.
Oh, it was, you know, running out to the backyard in the bushes, for crying out loud.
Women made him pee in the bushes like a common Sean Spicer. Then, of course, the best-known hallmark of a serial killer, an obsession with fire. Any chance Sean Patrick Hannity, remember 3 names for a serial killer, likes fire a bit too much?
Is crime being reported only if it fans the flames of racial tension? He's talking about fanning the flames here. Fan the flames of anti-police sentiment. Fan the flames of war. Fan the flames. Fan the flames. Fan the flames.
That is totally unedited footage of his madness. Okay, well, we did edit it, but only because the way he stokes resentment against people of color was just too scary. Almost as scary as the number of sheds in his life. The New York Times has evidence of Sean Hannity standing near an alarming number of sheds. Don't be distracted by Sean Hannity playing reverse basketball. Focus on the sheds. More sheds than your average American should ever own. Just like so many goddamn sheds. Who needs that many sheds if you're not storing barrels of melted people? And how can you even build that many sheds on your land? No one could get zoned for that. I mean, you'd need real estate advice from a great attorney. Oh my God!
Great attorney. My question is exclusively almost focused on real estate. You know, the FBI has come up with a profile of serial killers. They should stop you on a serial killer.
You gave me all the clues, Mr. Hannity. Now, as you may recall, Donald Trump ran for president on 2 platforms. 1, his human platform, Chris Christie, and 2, a promise to #drain the swamp.
We are going to drain the swamp of corruption in Washington, D.C.
I'm not going to let Wall Street get away with murder. The Wall Street investors who have rigged the regulations against the middle class. Well, Goldman Sachs, they have total control over Hillary Clinton.
When you cast that ballot, just picture a Wall Street boardroom filled with the special interests who have been bleeding your country and your city and every place else.
I'll admit it was nice to see Donald Trump concerned about bleeding that wasn't Megyn Kelly's. Draining the swamp appeals to everyone, except biodiversity nerds who'd like to remind us that swamps are a wonderful and valuable part of our ecosystem. Hashtag not all swamps. Well, good news, gator huggers. Trump was lying.
Today, the Trump administration announced its 5th straight high-profile hire from Goldman Sachs.
As the saying goes, keep your friends close and your friends that you called your enemies when you were saying any fucking thing to get elected, closer. The Joey Fatone of Trump's Goldman boy band is hedge fund manager and John Oliver's evil twin, Steve MNUCHIN, whose Senate confirmation hearing is tomorrow. You may never have heard the name MNUCHIN before, other than in a diner at 2 a.m. where a drunk sophomore is trying to order more nachos, but this mystery nerd is gonna be our next Treasury Secretary. A fact he's so sure of, he's already updated his job title in the Yale Alumni Directory. That is real. Oh, Steve read The Secret and made the Yale Directory his vision board. Way to manifest. Where were we? Oh, right, draining the swamp. Treasurer of the United States is an important job, unlike the treasurer of any club in junior high school, which is made up to give the unpopular kids something to do. So what the heck? Let's learn a little about his post-Goldman career.
MNUCHIN made a fortune on Wall Street, then headed to Hollywood to bankroll blockbuster films.
Smash hit movies in some cases, like Suicide Squad.
For those not familiar, Suicide Squad is the world's first feature that was made by just pouring a can of Monster Energy drink onto a reel of film. It's also my nickname for working class people who voted for Trump. They are so screwed. Of course, they were already screwed by the Great Recession of 2008, or as MNUCHIN remembers it, the Great Recession of 2008, when Steve MNUCHIN took a financial crash and turned it into a crashertunity.
Steve MNUCHIN left Goldman Sachs, bought a bank called IndyMac, changed the name of that bank, and foreclosed on 36,000 people.
That's how MNUCHIN earned the nickname Foreclosure King, not to be confused with the cheapest bed at the Mattress Warehouse. King Steve's gross new company specialized in reverse mortgages, a financial product targeted at people old enough to have masturbated to the Rockford Files.
Hi, this is James Garner for Financial Freedom.
Wow, where do I sign?
If you're 62 or older and own your own home, I'd like to talk to you about something you should know.
Yes, what you should know is that Financial Freedom is a subsidiary of One West, whose goal was to foreclose on IndyMac's reverse mortgages as fast as possible.
His bank was responsible for more than 1/3 of all reverse mortgage foreclosures.
Just 10 days after Monroe died, she got a letter from the bank. It was foreclosing on the home. She had 60 days to leave.
Why would you foreclose on my house? I've lived here since 1963.
The person who bought the reverse mortgage could stay in his or her house until they died, but after death, everyone else living in the house would have to go unless they paid back the loan.
The practice even has a name, widow foreclosures.
Jesus, what do the other inmates do to you in jail when they find out you're a widow forecloser? Oh, right, nothing, because you don't go to jail. You sell the company, take a $380 million profit, and get promoted to Treasury Secretary before this happens.
HUD is currently investigating Financial Freedom for this practice of widow foreclosures.
Well, at least vulnerable old ladies will now be protected, as long as there's an alert watchdog on the job at HUD.
What do you think you took away from today?
My luggage. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Mima, change the locks and load the shotgun. Hurry! When they weren't snatching grandma houses, One West was reportedly tricking their other customers into defaulting.
They were told by banks that you had to be late on payments so that you could qualify for a loan modification, and then once you went late on a payment, they then foreclosed on you.
They foreclosed on us.
That same year, Florida resident Ossie Lofton, who had taken a reverse mortgage, the company foreclosed on the 90-year-old Lofton after a 27-cent payment error.
Okay, but to be fair, when that 90-year-old lady was born, 27 cents would buy you 3 chickens and a hand-cranked vibrator. MNUCHIN might pine for the glory days of high-risk lending that crashed the world economy, but fortunately, the man who's getting evicted from his home this Friday put in place some pretty good protections to make sure that doesn't happen again. So don't worry, we're safe.
We want to strip back parts of Dodd-Frank that prevent banks from lending.
What about the Volcker Rule and the Consumer Protection Bureau?
Well, you know, I would just say we're going to look at all these things.
Look at them. How? Oh, God, there were so many widows in there. Let's hope and pray that the next 4 years will be like Steve's film Suicide Squad, where the group of bad guys end up actually saving the day. But it'll probably be like Steve's film Entourage. Most people didn't want it, it disappointed those who did, and it only helped those who were directly involved in it.